the spark. The refrigerator was empty again. The cold hum filled the silence as the light flickered on, exposing nothing but a half-empty ketchup bottle and a few crumpled napkins shoved in the corner. No milk, no bread, no leftovers. The kind of empty that didn't just mean hunger for the night, it meant hunger as a way of life. He closed the door slower this time, as if delaying the reality of what he already knew. He had gotten used to it, but tonight the hollowness felt different. He wasn't just hungry, he was aware of the hunger. It wasn't just in his stomach, it was in his soul. His mother sat at the table, staring at a stack of unopened bills. She didn't cry, but the weight in her shoulders spoke louder than tears ever could. He had watched her move through life like this for years, working herself to the bone, breaking her back for people who would never break a sweat for her, cleaning houses she would never live in, serving food she would never taste, taking care of everyone but herself. And no one helped her, not even him. That thought stung. He had been so focused on his own hunger, his own frustrations, that he never truly saw her. He had watched her wake up before the sun and come home after it set. He had watched her give and give until there was nothing left. But when she struggled, when the weight of the world crushed her, no one was there. Not the people she worked for. Not the family she had always put first. Not even her own son. His stomach growled, but this time he ignored it differently. This wasn't just a lack of food. This was a lesson. For the first time, he understood fasting. This hunger wasn't punishment, it was preparation. His mother had gone without food more times than she let on. But she never let it break her. She kept going. She kept giving. And no one noticed, except God. Maybe hunger wasn't just about food. Maybe hunger was the empty space where purpose is born. Maybe fasting wasn't just about surviving without, it was about discovering within. A fire flickered in his chest. He had spent so much time being angry at the world, at his situation, at what they didn't have. But now he understood something deeper. No one was coming to save them. No miracles, no handouts, no easy escapes. If he wanted change, he would have to become it. The fire grew. He looked at his mother, really looked at her. Not as a tired woman at a kitchen table, but as a warrior who had been fighting a battle no one saw. A woman who had sacrificed everything, who had burned herself down to keep everyone else warm. He had let her fight alone. Never again. This can't be it. This won't be it. His mother exhaled, slow and heavy, as if carrying the weight of 1,000 tomorrows. He inhaled deep and full, like a man stepping into a fire for the first time, not to be consumed by it, but to be transformed. And just like that, the spark had ignited. Hunger alone doesn't create fire. If it did, the world would be filled with flames. Pain, struggle, suffering, these things exist in every city, every home, every soul at some point. But not everyone ignites. Some people stay cold. Some let the weight of their burdens snuff out any hope before it ever sparks. He could feel the fire flickering inside him. But the truth was, most people never get past this stage. They feel the hunger, the frustration, the anger at their situation, but they don't let it transform them. So what separated the ones who rose from the ones who stayed buried? What made the difference between someone who used their pain and someone who let it consume them?
He thought about his mother, the way she carried everything on her back without complaint. The way she kept moving forward even when life tried to hold her down. The way she gave without expecting anything in return. She had been in the same fire he was in now. But she had endured. And now, he had a choice. Pain, some let it consume them, others used it as fuel. Pain is like fire, left uncontrolled, it destroys. It burns bridges, crumbles foundations, and turns everything to ash. But in the right hands, pain becomes fuel. It becomes the heat that shapes steel, the force that turns pressure into diamonds. He had spent his whole life feeling powerless in the face of pain. But now, he saw it differently. Pain wasn't his enemy, pain was a tool. He thought back to every empty night, every missed meal, every moment he felt invisible. Those weren't just struggles. They were training. Every hard moment had prepared him for this realization: either pain would break him, or it would make him unbreakable. Inspiration: some ignore it, others act on it instantly. He had seen others in his neighborhood talk about change. Dream about it, fantasize about escaping their circumstances, about making money, about one day being more. But one day never came for them. Because they didn't move when the fire sparked. He realized something critical in that moment: fire dies fast if it's not fed. Inspiration hits everyone at some point. That deep, gut-wrenching moment where you realize you want more. But most people let it pass. They drown it out with distractions, fear, and excuses. They tell themselves, tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes for those who hesitate. For the first time, he saw the truth: he had to move now. Not later, not when life got easier. Not when the opportunity knocked on his door. He had to create the opportunity. Opportunity: some hesitate, others seize it, even when afraid. Not everyone who succeeds starts with an advantage. Some people claw their way up from nothing, while others wait for permission that never comes. He had been waiting his whole life for someone to tell him how to change things. Waiting for the perfect moment. That moment didn't exist. The opportunity wasn't going to come gift-wrapped. It wasn't going to knock on his door and pull him out of the trenches. He had to take it. Even if he was afraid. Even if he had no clue what he was doing. Even if the odds were stacked against him. Because no one was going to do it for him. This was the spark, not just a feeling. Not just a moment of realization. A decision. A decision to never let pain be wasted. A decision to act when inspiration strikes. A decision to chase opportunity instead of waiting for it. And once that decision was made, there was no going back. The fire had caught. It was time to feed the flames. What if the spark wasn't random? What if the fire wasn't something that appeared out of nowhere, but something that had always been inside, waiting to be recognized? The more he thought about it, the more he realized that not everyone gets this moment of ignition. Some people drift through life without ever feeling the deep, gut-wrenching pull to become something more. But for those who do, it changes everything. Was it just a feeling, or was there something deeper at work? The answer, he realized, was both. Psychology: the brain shifts when purpose is discovered. Science had an explanation for what was happening to him in that moment. When a person finds a purpose, something that truly lights them up, the brain reacts in ways that are measurable. Dopamine surge: the moment someone taps into deep motivation, the brain floods with dopamine, the same chemical tied to reward, drive, and focus. It's what makes people feel unstoppable once they truly commit to something. Neuroplasticity: when people shift their mindset and start believing in their path, the brain physically rewires itself. New neural pathways form, strengthening the ability to overcome doubt and build discipline. The reticular activating system: the brain has a built-in filter that determines what we notice. The second someone decides to change, their brain starts showing them opportunities they had never noticed before. It was all starting to make sense. The spark wasn't luck, it was the moment the mind shifted. It wasn't about suddenly gaining power. It was about removing the blindfold that had been there all along. Spirituality, divine intervention, and the burning bush moment. But there was another part of him that knew this wasn't just science. This was something bigger. He thought about Moses and the burning bush, a moment when a man wandering the desert encountered something supernatural. A voice, a fire, a calling. It was the moment he realized he had been chosen for something greater. What if the spark was the same? What if hunger wasn't just a test, but a calling? What if suffering wasn't just pain, but a message from God, designed to push people toward something greater? He had spent years wondering why life was so hard. Why some people had everything handed to them while others had to fight for every breath. But maybe the struggle wasn't a curse, maybe it was a purification process. God doesn't forge warriors in comfort. He forges them in fire. And maybe that's why the spark feels so different from just a fleeting motivation. It doesn't fade like a New Year's resolution. It doesn't disappear when the first challenge comes. Because it's not from this world. This fire is divine. The spark has always been there. And then came the final realization. Maybe the spark wasn't new at all. Maybe it had been inside him since birth. Maybe the reason he felt it so strongly now wasn't because it suddenly appeared, but because it had been waiting for him to finally see it. Philosophers had talked about this for centuries. The idea that everyone carries a demon, an inner guide, a hidden purpose, a fire buried beneath the distractions of the world. Some listen to it, most ignore it. But it's always there. And the ones who truly succeed in life, they are the ones who wake up to their own fire before it's too late. How to create your own spark. Most people wait. They sit in the dark, hoping that one day, out of nowhere, a fire will light itself. They wait for a sign, a moment, a stroke of luck that will push them forward. But fire doesn't just appear. It has to be created. You don't wait for the spark. You strike the match. This is where most people get it wrong. They think success, drive, and purpose are things that happen to you. But the truth is, fire doesn't start itself. You have to create the conditions for ignition. You have to put yourself in the place where sparks fly. Here's how. Radical exposure, seek discomfort, adventure, and new experiences. Fire needs oxygen to grow. Without it, the flames will suffocate. So does your mind. Radical exposure is the act of stepping into the unknown, deliberately seeking discomfort, and putting yourself in situations that challenge your comfort zone. Too many people go through life avoiding discomfort. They stick to what's safe, what's familiar, what feels comfortable. But comfort breeds stagnation, while discomfort breeds growth. The key to the spark lies in putting yourself in spaces where you're forced to adapt, think differently, and stretch yourself beyond what you thought was possible. This is where the fire of transformation is born. Think about it, the greatest breakthroughs in history have all come from people who dared to step out of their comfort zone. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, not just as a prisoner, but as someone who embraced the discomfort of his situation, turning those long years of confinement into a training ground for wisdom and strength. Instead of letting those years break him, he used them to ignite a movement. Elon Musk, despite his early failures, chose to invest in the unknown by diving into the world of electric cars and space travel. He chose discomfort, the uncertainty of uncharted territory, and through it, created some of the most innovative companies of our time. Oprah Winfrey grew up in poverty and faced a lifetime of adversity, but rather than accepting the life that others expected of her, she embraced the challenge of pushing through. Of putting herself in positions that terrified her, like stepping into the media world as an African-American woman in a time when that was almost unheard of. But it's not just about physical challenges. Radical exposure is about mental and emotional growth too. Seek new ideas, seek people who challenge your thinking. Seek emotional experiences that make you feel alive, even if it's uncomfortable. Read books that shatter your worldview. Seek out conversations with people who don't agree with you. Embrace differing perspectives to expand your understanding of the world. Try something new, whether it's learning a new skill or stepping into a completely unfamiliar job or opportunity. It's about embracing what makes you uncomfortable, what scares you, what forces you to grow. The discomfort you seek is a signal that you're about to break through to the next level of transformation. Every time you push your boundaries, you feed your fire. You add fuel to the blaze that will carry you forward. Radical exposure is the fire that forges greatness. Embracing rock bottom, turn your pain into power. Most people fear rock bottom. They think of it as the end, a lowest point, where all hope is lost. But what if rock bottom isn't the end? What if it's the beginning of something greater? What if it's the exact place you need to be to ignite the fire inside you? We all hit rock bottom at some point. Life has a way of knocking you down, and when it does, it can feel like you'll never get back up. But rock bottom is where true transformation begins. It's where the fire starts to burn. Think about it, the greatest success stories in history often begin in the darkest places. When you've lost everything, when you're at the lowest point of your life, that's when you're most vulnerable, but it's also when you're most powerful. It's the moment when you're forced to either give up or create a fire that will change everything. J.K. Rowling, before becoming the world's most famous author, was a single mother living on welfare. She was rejected by countless publishers and even thought about giving up. But in her lowest point, she found the strength to keep writing. That rock-bottom moment became the foundation for her Harry Potter series, a series that transformed her life and the lives of millions of readers. Steve Jobs was fired from the company he founded, Apple, in 1985. Rock bottom, right? But instead of fading away, Jobs embraced a setback. He founded Next and bought Pixar, both of which laid the groundwork for his eventual return to Apple, leading to one of the greatest comebacks in history. Prince, who came from humble beginnings, faced rejection and struggle after struggle throughout his career. Yet, his struggles didn't break him, they propelled him to make some of the most revolutionary music the world has ever known. At rock bottom, you find out what you're really made of. You have nothing left to lose, so you're forced to either face the fire or be consumed by it. But if you choose to face it, you'll rise from it stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. Consider these 3 truths. 1. Rock bottom forces clarity. When everything is stripped away, you see what truly matters. Pain forces you to prioritize. It forces you to stop running from yourself and start facing who you really are. And that's when your purpose becomes clear. 2. Rock bottom creates resilience. The deepest pain becomes the foundation for your greatest strength. Each time you rise, you become unbreakable. The next setback won't feel as heavy because you know you've already survived the worst. You're built to endure. 3. Rock bottom ignites your fight. When you're backed into a corner, there's only one thing left to do: fight. But this fight isn't with the world. It's with yourself. It's a fight to awaken the power that's always been inside you. The moment you embrace rock bottom, you turn your pain into fuel. You use it to create the fire that will push you forward. And when you rise from the ashes, the world will never be the same again. You will be unrecognizable, not just to others, but to yourself. The burning bush moment. The burning bush moment is not merely a spiritual symbol. It's the instant when your soul is called to something greater than yourself, a call to awaken to the truth of your purpose. It's when something far bigger than your day-to-day life steps into your reality, urging you to rise and step into the fullness of your being. At this pivotal moment, the divine doesn't shout. It whispers. It may not be a dramatic, earth-shaking event for everyone. For some, it's a quiet stirring, a gentle nudge that something must change. For others, it's a force so powerful it knocks them off their feet. But one thing is for sure, when the burning bush moment comes, it will demand your attention. You can no longer ignore it. You can't run from it. It will either make you stay where you are or challenge you to step into the unknown, where your true purpose lies. The call to step into the unknown. This moment isn't about being perfect. It's not about having it all together. It's about choosing to follow the call, whether you feel ready or not. In the story of Moses, when he encountered the burning bush, he was alone in a seemingly insignificant place, a desert mountain, far from the comforts of civilization. The place was as ordinary as any other, but the divine presence made it extraordinary. The fire that burned from the bush did not consume it. Instead, it revealed it, illuminating the true essence of the bush. The fire didn't destroy, it transformed. It revealed, and this is what the burning bush moment is for you. It doesn't destroy your old self, it reveals the true nature of who you were meant to be. The bush, unburned and yet burning brightly, symbolizes that purpose does not consume you, it awakens you. The fire of your calling is not meant to burn you to the ground but to ignite your soul. The fire exposes what's hidden, bringing out the best version of you, one that you might never have thought possible. The different phases of the burning bush moment. Everyone experiences their burning bush moment differently. It might not always look like a mystical encounter on a mountain or a dramatic divine revelation. For some, it comes through quiet, unexpected encounters or even small shifts in consciousness. For others, it may arrive as a sudden, earth-shattering change in their lives, a challenge, a crisis, a failure, that forces them to reckon with who they are and who they are meant to be. 1. The quiet awakening. For some, the burning bush comes as a quiet, inner stirring. It might not be a huge, world-changing event but rather a moment of awareness. Maybe it's the realization that you've been chasing the wrong things for too long, or the quiet voice that says, you're meant for something more. This could be sparked by reading a book, having a conversation, or simply reflecting on the life you've created. It's a subtle whisper in your soul, not a shout. Example, Maya Angelou's transformation from struggling artist to renowned writer wasn't marked by a single dramatic moment. Her burning bush moment came in the quiet moments of reflection, in the spaces where she began to realize the power of her voice and her words. It was in accepting her own worth and moving toward her calling, even when the world tried to silence her. 2. The crisis that forces transformation. For others, their burning bush moment comes as a crisis, a wake-up call so intense that it cannot be ignored. It is in these painful, dark moments, when life as they know it falls apart, that they are forced to confront what they truly want, what they are truly meant to do. In these moments, the fire is not just a gentle awakening, it burns through everything, forcing a re-evaluation of everything you thought you knew about yourself. Example, Steve Jobs' burning bush moment occurred when he was fired from Apple, the very company he had founded. What appeared to be the lowest point in his life became the transformation he needed. He didn't see failure, he saw a rebirth. This was his moment of clarity, a time to realize that the fire within him could be reignited in new, more innovative ways, and he went on to change the world with Apple and Pixar. 3. The awakening through service. Some people find their burning bush moment through service to others. They realize that the purpose of their life isn't just about personal achievement, but about impacting others. They are called to a higher mission, a higher purpose that extends beyond themselves. Whether it's through teaching, guiding, or advocating, the call is heard in the service of others. Example, Mother Teresa's burning bush moment came not in a dramatic blaze of light but in a simple act of compassion. Working as a school teacher, she felt called to serve the poorest of the poor. She didn't wait for a dramatic sign from God, she recognized the spark in the everyday moments of human suffering and chose to live a life devoted to service. Changing the world by touching the lives of the most marginalized. The path of transformation, embracing the call. Your burning bush moment may look completely different from someone else's, but one thing is universal, it will change you. After Moses encountered the burning bush, he did not return to his previous life. He was transformed by the encounter and became the leader who would guide his people out of Egypt. The fire of divine purpose burned within him, leading him to a higher calling. This transformation didn't happen in a vacuum, it happened in the context of action. Moses had to respond to the call, even when it scared him, even when he doubted his ability. The fire required something from him, it required his obedience, his bravery, and his trust in the divine process. The same is true for you. The fire that sparks within you will lead to transformation, but it will demand that you take action. It will call you to confront your fear, your doubts, and your limitations. But as you respond to that call, you'll be transformed, not just by the fire, but through it. You'll emerge from the fire stronger, clearer, and more aligned with your true purpose. The fire that burns but does not consume. As you reflect on your own burning bush moment, think about the fire that you are being called to ignite within yourself. This fire does not consume you, it illuminates your soul, your potential, and your true self. It's not about being burned away by the flames, but about being purified by them. In fact, the fire does not destroy, it reveals. It reveals your true strength, your deepest desires, and your ability to rise from the ashes of your past. The fire that is within you right now, the fire that is sparking and burning inside your soul, will never fade unless you allow it to. It is time to listen, time to let the fire burn bright. Time to see your purpose illuminated. The fire that transforms, not to consume, but to illuminate. The burning bush moment is not a flashy explosion. It's subtle, almost unnoticeable, hidden within everyday life. And just like Moses, you may not immediately recognize it for what it is. But when it does appear, it will never let you go. That call, that shift, that sudden awareness of something higher, it's not just a passing feeling. It's a sign that you've been chosen for something more, that your soul has been marked by something greater than yourself. You may think your purpose is a distant dream, something for the lucky ones or the chosen few. But the burning bush reveals the truth, your purpose has always been there. It has just been waiting for you to recognize it. When that fire sparks within, it lights the path toward your greatest self. The fire reveals not just your potential, but your true identity. Just as Moses was led to deliver his people, this fire will lead you to deliver yourself. And you will never be the same. The call that requires action, the reluctance to respond. Like Moses, when faced with the divine call, your first reaction might not be one of immediate action. In fact, the most common response to a true burning bush moment is hesitation. Moses questioned his worth, his ability, his identity. He thought to himself, I'm not worthy of this calling. I'm just a man with flaws, a man with limitations. But that's the point. The fire doesn't choose perfection. It chooses those who are ready to rise despite their imperfections, despite their doubts, despite the struggle. The fire calls not because you are already great, but because you are ready to become great. Each burning bush moment is unique to the individual. What may feel like a whisper to one person can feel like a loud, unmistakable call to someone else. For you, it may be a single, life-altering event, a tragedy, a breakthrough, an awakening. For others, it may come gradually, a series of small moments that slowly guide them toward their calling. The key is to listen, to acknowledge the call. No matter how small, no matter how hidden it may seem, when the fire touches you, it's because you're ready for what comes next. The question is, will you act? The personal transformation, the path to becoming who you were meant to be. The burning bush is not just a moment, it's a process. A spark that ignites a fire of personal transformation. It's not something that just happens once and then fades. It's a journey, one where you'll be molded, shaped, and tested. But like gold refined in the hottest of flames, you too will emerge stronger, purer, and more aligned with your true purpose. After his encounter with the burning bush, Moses didn't just go back to his life as a shepherd. He was transformed. He became a leader, a prophet, a man with the power to shape the fate of nations. The fire gave him clarity, courage, and wisdom. But it also gave him a sense of responsibility, a responsibility to share the light of that fire with others, to lead them out of bondage. And in that same way, your fire, your call, will lead you to the people and experiences you need to fulfill your higher purpose. This transformation won't always be easy. You will be tested, just as Moses faced challenges from Pharaoh, you too will face opposition, doubt, and obstacles that will try to extinguish your fire. But these challenges are what shape you, just as the fire shapes steel. Your journey toward your true self will be marked by constant transformation. At each stage, you will face choices that determine whether you continue to fuel your fire or let it die. And, just as Moses was given divine tools to lead, you will be provided with everything you need to step into your true calling, if you're brave enough to embrace it. A fire unique to you, the call is personal. The spiritual journey is deeply personal. The burning bush moment is unique to every person, and no one else can tell you what it will look like or how it will come. That is what makes it so sacred. This fire, this spark, is for you alone. No one else can step into your calling or feel the fire of your purpose. It is yours to carry, yours to nurture, and yours to give life to. Just as Moses had his own purpose and journey, so too do you. The universe, the divine, whatever higher force you believe in, has set you on a path that is uniquely yours. And while the fire is the same for all, how it manifests and where it leads you will be your story. No more waiting, strike the match. Most people go their whole lives waiting for the fire to come to them. But the ones who truly ignite? They go out and create it. They seek discomfort. They use their lowest moments as fuel. They recognize the moment that calls them. And when they do, there is no stopping them. Are you ready to strike the match? The fire had started. But fire is unpredictable. It doesn't guarantee warmth, success, or survival. Left untended, it can flicker and die, leaving nothing but cold ashes where potential once burned. Left uncontrolled, it can rage in the wrong direction, consuming everything in its path until nothing remains. This is where most people fail. They feel the spark, that raw, undeniable moment where they see their hunger, their pain, their purpose, but they don't know what to do next. Some hesitate, afraid of what the fire might demand of them. Some let it burn recklessly, wasted on distractions, anger, or shallow pursuits. Some smother it with doubt, convincing themselves they were never meant to be great. But the rare few, the ones who refuse to let the spark be wasted, they feed the flames. Because a spark, on its own, is nothing. A spark only becomes something when it catches. And now, the real question isn't whether you felt it. It's whether you're ready to turn it into an unstoppable blaze. Because fire demands something from you. It doesn't grow on hope alone. It requires fuel, actions, discipline, belief, sacrifice. The first flame has been lit. What happens next? That's up to you. Will you let the wind blow it out? Will you let doubt smother it before it ever grows? Or will you gather what you need and build the kindling? How to create your own spark. Now that you've read about how to create your own spark through radical exposure and embracing rock bottom, let's dive deeper and bring this process to life. This exercise will help you tap into your inner fire. Visualization isn't just a technique, it's an experience. It's the way you start to see yourself through the lens of your highest potential, and when done with intention, it can spark real, actionable change. Visualization, tap into your spark. Before we begin, find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted. Sit comfortably with your back straight and your feet flat on the ground. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, inhaling deeply through your nose, holding for a moment, then slowly exhaling through your mouth. As you breathe, allow your mind to clear. 1. See your spark, the moment of ignition. Now, imagine yourself standing in a dark room. It's not just any room, it's a representation of your life as it is right now. The room is filled with your doubts, your fears, your frustrations. It feels heavy, you're alone, and the weight of the world is pressing on you. But now, look closely. In the middle of that darkness, a small flicker of light appears. It's barely noticeable at first, but as you focus on it, you realize that it's your spark, the fire that's been waiting to ignite. See this spark growing. It's the light of your purpose, your drive, your call to greatness. As the light grows, feel the energy from it pulsing through your body. It's not just a light, it's a force, a power that's been inside you all along, waiting to be awakened. 2. Radical exposure, stepping into the unknown. Now, visualize yourself taking a step toward that spark. You may feel fear, hesitation, or doubt creeping in. That's okay, it's part of the process. But imagine yourself moving forward, feeling the fear but not letting it stop you. Every step you take pushes you beyond your comfort zone. As you walk towards the light, you begin to shed your old self. See yourself stepping into a new version of you, someone who is no longer afraid of discomfort, someone who embraces the unknown. Feel the power of radical exposure coursing through you as you step into the unknown. Now, imagine yourself surrounded by experiences that challenge you. See yourself in a new environment, learning new things, meeting new people, and feeling yourself grow. With every challenge you face, the fire grows stronger, and you realize that every moment of discomfort is adding fuel to your inner flame. 3. Embracing rock bottom, turning pain into power. Next, take a moment to reflect on the moments in your life when you felt like you were at rock bottom. Picture those difficult times, the pain, the doubt, the struggles. But this time, see them differently. Imagine yourself standing tall amidst the darkness of rock bottom, embracing the challenge. See the pain transforming into something powerful, it becomes your fuel. Feel the energy of those moments shifting from despair to purpose. As you visualize this, say to yourself, "This pain is not my weakness, it is my strength. I will rise, not in spite of my struggles, but because of them." With each breath, feel the pain turning into power. See yourself rising, stronger and more determined than ever. Let the fire of your past struggles ignite the path forward, and as you rise, feel the weight lifting off your shoulders. You are no longer a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of your destiny. 4. Your burning bush moment, the divine call. Now, imagine that you're standing in front of your burning bush moment. This could be a vision of your highest self or a profound insight that changes everything. Perhaps it's a moment of divine intervention, or maybe it's a sudden realization about your purpose. See this burning bush as a sign of your divine calling, something that's been within you all along, waiting for you to recognize it. You might feel overwhelmed at first, uncertain about what the call means or what it will demand from you. But instead of backing away, step forward. Feel the fire not as something dangerous, but as something illuminating your true path. Visualize the power, the wisdom, the strength that comes with answering this call. Feel your soul awakening as you embrace your purpose. This is the moment when you realize who you were always meant to be. 5. Your path forward, from spark to blaze. As the fire of the burning bush ignites within you, visualize yourself walking down the path that leads you to your greatness. It's not always easy, the road ahead is full of challenges, but now, you have the tools to face them, radical exposure, the power of rock bottom, and the clarity of your burning bush moment. See yourself stepping into each new challenge with confidence, knowing that the fire inside you will guide you through. Feel the heat of the fire growing stronger with each step you take, and imagine it lighting up the path ahead, making the impossible possible. Now, with a deep breath, picture that fire reaching its full potential. It's no longer a spark, it's a blazing force, lighting your way, and it's yours to control. The energy of this fire is now in your hands, and you're ready to forge your destiny. 6. Bringing it into your life. As you finish this visualization, slowly bring yourself back to the present. Open your eyes, but hold on to the power of the fire you just ignited in. You've created your spark. Now execute it with the actions, beliefs, and decisions that will turn it into a blazing, unstoppable force. Remember, fire exists in your mind every day. Every choice, every action, every step forward to fire. Burning the spark. How to use the visualization in daily life. Now that you created your spark, it's time to keep it burning. The power of visualization is not just in the moment, it's in how you make it a part of your daily life. Here are strategies to anchor the visualization to your routine so the spark you light doesn't fizzle out. 1. Start each spark. Every morning, before your feet even touch ground, take a few moments to close your eyes and revisit your spark. Visualize the light in a room of darkness and watch it grow and fill this power. See yourself taking that first step toward radical exposure, leaving comfort behind. Feel the fire you're fueling you for the day. This simple ritual will set your intent for the day and remind you of the inside. 2. End with affirmations. Pair visualization with affirmations. While you go through each step, say affirmations out loud to reinforce the spark. I embrace the unknown. Every challenge is fuel fire. I am the creator of my destiny. The struggles I face only make me stronger and more determined. Affirmations will anchor your visualization to your subconscious mind and remind you of how you have been. Speak these affirmations daily, especially during moments of doubt or difficulty. 3. Embrace the fire in challenging moments. Whenever you face a challenge, go back to your visualization. Close your eyes, even if only for a few moments, and have the fire ignited. Picture yourself in the midst of radical exposure, walking into discomfort and right through it. When pain strikes, see it transform into power and let it push you forward instead of holding you back. Without turning up, no matter how afraid you are, step to it. Feel the energy from your spark to move it. In moments of struggle, your spark becomes your guide, helping navigate unknown and remind you that you're capable of greatness. 4. Journaling and reflection. After your visualization practice, take a moment. Write about the fire you've ignited. What's your spark? Does like? What obstacles do you see ahead, and how will you fuel your fire with them? Reflect as you take toward your goals and a small win along the way. Reflections will only keep you accountable, but so help you track your progress, turn arc into moving force. By this anchor practice force, consistency builds power. The more consistently you revisit your spark, the stronger it becomes. By practicing the visualization each day, it becomes second nature or part of your identity. Emotionally grounding. The visualization helps ground you emotionally. You to turn to your inner fire whenever you face uncertainty or struggle. Continuous growth. This practice allows you to see the gradual transformation in yourself. Each challenge, each small step forward, adds more fuel, leading to personal growth.
Hey, yo, Eli, what the fuck?
My last day on earth, I just hope I die rich. You want my lifestyle, tell me what you gon' sacrifice for it. Grew up as a quiet kid, took time for me to talk my shit. Grew up with no money, took time for me to life.